I still remember the exact moment I saw her, in that white dress, standing beside my best friend, smiling like the world had finally aligned for her. The crowd cheered. People cried. He kissed her forehead. And I clapped too. With a smile, no one questioned. But what no one knew, what no one could have guessed, is that the night before her wedding, she wrote me a letter. And in it, she said, "If things were just a little different, it would have been you." I kept that letter for years, never opened it, not until tonight. We met during our second semester of university. She sat in the second row, always early, always humming something under her breath. Her name was Miraal, a little chaotic, a little magic. She had this way of laughing like the world wasn't falling apart and making you believe it too. We weren't best friends right away. We started with borrowed pens, shared coffee, quiet nods when we'd both arrive 5 minutes late together, and somehow the space next to her became mine. She'd talk about her dreams, writing a book, seeing Norway's northern lights, eating roadside paratha rolls at midnight, and I just listened. Like her voice was a melody I didn't want to interrupt. You know, you're easy to sit next to. Like silence doesn't feel heavy around you. And you, I almost said it, you feel like home. But I never did. We had a rhythm, a quiet understanding. We'd walk together after classes, she'd steal fries from my plate and I'd act annoyed. She'd borrow my hoodie and forget to return it. And I never reminded her. I kept waiting for a sign, something, a look that would say, "I'm waiting too." But it never came, and I was too much of a coward to risk the peace we had. Looking back, maybe that was the sign. Maybe she was waiting too. Or maybe she already knew I'd never say it out loud. Some love stories don't start. They just sit quietly between conversations, between moments, hoping to be noticed. Then came Ayan, my childhood friend, the kind of guy who walked into a room and made it feel like a party just started. Confident, funny, effortlessly charming. He met Miraal at a campus event. I introduced them. I remember. She smiled at one of his lame jokes, the kind of smile I thought only I could earn. They clicked, just like that. And suddenly there were 3 of us. Ayan. "Bro, she's something else, man. You think she'd ever go for a guy like me?" I smiled and said, "Try your luck." But my heart whispered, "Please don't." He started walking her to class instead of me. She laughed louder when he was around. I began showing up late on purpose, so I wouldn't have to see them together. One day, I passed by the library and saw them sitting across each other, their hands almost touching across the table. Her eyes, the ones that used to search for me, were now locked onto him. They weren't official, not yet, but you could feel it in the space between them, a closeness I once dreamed of, now unfolding right in front of me. You're easy to sit next to, but she wasn't sitting next to me anymore. I told myself they were better together, that she deserved someone like him, loud, certain, magnetic. I convinced myself I was just the background character in their story. I was losing her, and I didn't even fight, because how do you claim someone you never confessed to? They weren't hiding it anymore. The way her eyes lit up when he entered the room, how she started wearing that lavender perfume, his favorite, not mine. The texts slowed down. Our walks ended. My phone stayed silent on nights we used to talk till 2 a.m. I kept telling myself it's just a phase. She'll come back. She always does. But when someone starts building a new world, your name slowly fades from their map. Me. You've been distant lately. Her. I've just been busy. You know, life stuff. I smiled, nodded. lied back. Yeah, me too. I saw the signs, but I kept reading them wrong, like a fool translating a language she'd stopped speaking to me in. One evening, I waited for her. Thought maybe she'd remember it was the anniversary of the day we met. She didn't. A week later, she called. Her voice was soft, careful. "Ayan and I are getting serious," she said. "I thought you should know." That was her goodbye, disguised as news. And I didn't ask her to stay. Maybe love doesn't always die loudly. Sometimes it just stops showing up. The wedding was beautiful. They chose a hilltop venue, white roses, sunset vows. Ayan looked nervous. Miraal looked breathtaking. She didn't look for me in the crowd. Or maybe she did and quickly looked away. I had rehearsed a speech, a quiet moment, a last look. None of that happened. I didn't cry. I just felt numb, like someone pressed mute on every part of me that ever spoke her name. That night I found the letter. No one saw her hand it to me. No one knew she wrote it. I didn't read it. For years, I was afraid of what it might say. Afraid it might be a goodbye. Or worse, a regret. Tonight, I finally opened it. If things were just a little different, it would have been you. You never said it, but I always felt it. I used to wonder if you'd stop me, just once, tell me not to go. I waited for your voice, but you stayed silent. So I chose someone who said the things I needed to hear. But if I ever mattered to you, please know, you mattered more to me than I'll ever admit out loud. She loved me, and I never told her I loved her back. Some confessions are forgotten, not because they didn't matter, but because they arrived too late. It's been 6 years. I moved to a quieter town, started teaching literature. Miraal loved poetry, now I teach it. Ayan and I drifted, no fights, just silence, like the kind between two strangers on a train going in opposite directions. I see her sometimes, not in person, in places, in colors, in songs she once hummed. She's a chapter I still reread, even though I know how it ends. I never married, never even tried. People ask me why. I just smile and say, some stories don't need sequels. They were complete, even in silence. She was the love I never spoke of, the almost, the what if, the half-open door I never dared to walk through. If you're listening, and there's someone you haven't spoken your truth to, don't wait for a letter they'll never get to read.